Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, we have another activity here for another letter of the alphabet. This is for our letter L. The activity is called Let Your Fingers Be Your Guide. All right, so there's a lot of interesting skills that we can do, not even realizing that we can do them. You know, for example, like if we have a picture of a shape, but it's only half of that shape, are we able to recognize the shape or the object? If there's a picture of a backpack, but it's in half and it's only half of the backpack, is our brain able to recognize that that's a backpack? Okay, so that's looking at a picture or looking at an image and seeing only half of it or part of it, excuse me. Okay, there's another skill, stereognosis is what it's called, and it's basically using our senses to identify an object without being able to see that object. So it could be using our sense of hearing, right? Maybe hearing that object, but mostly it's our touch sense. So for our activity letter L is let your fingers be your guide. Okay, and what we're going to be doing is, if you have a box, you can also do this really just with like a piece of paper with a hole in it and just something that blocks our vision so that we're not accidentally looking and we have to put our hand in and feel what's on the other side, right? And see if we can figure out what it is. So let your fingers be your guide. Okay, so I did it with a box, an Amazon box, and I wiped the box. I left it outside for a couple of days and I wiped it again, just in case, just to make sure it's safe. So, you know, make sure that, that the box is safe. There's a lot of really cool things you could do with the box. I actually have another activity also with the box. So, you know, you can check that one out too. But here, what I did was cleaned it up and then I put 2 holes in here and 1 hole on the other side. Okay, so it's a game to play with siblings or family members or friends. And so here it would be for either one arm, okay, your preferred dominant side, or your non-preferred non-dominant side, or perhaps both hands if you need. And on the other side, somebody can put items and objects in here. So I remember when I was younger, the first time I did a game like this was a Halloween themed one. And there were like peeled grapes in there, and you know, it was like people were guessing eyeballs, or they had choices of what it was, and one of the choices was eyeballs. There was like a bowl of wet noodles, wet spaghetti, and it was like a bowl of worms or a bucket of worms. So, you know, some interesting ones. And when we're not looking at it and just using our touch sense to feel it, you know, in our brain we can create different objects, right? Our brain is constructing an image of what it's perceiving to see based on our touch sense. So it's an interesting activity because things can be experienced as something totally different. So it's a fun activity, and it works on strengthening those skills, strengthening that perception, perceptual types of skills, right? So let your fingers be your guide, right? It gets our sensory system involved in how we use our senses to perceive different objects, right? So once the sight is taken away out of the picture, you know, now we have to rely on our other senses. So, you know, for example, here I could put, you know, my hands in and I would be looking away, not looking at what's being put in here. Okay, and maybe somebody is putting a ball just so that I can't hear. So me over here is covering my ears, looking away. Okay, me over here, I am putting a crumpled paper ball. Okay, and now me over here, go ahead, you can look. Okay, so not look, but touch. Let your fingers be your guide. So maybe I'm doing just one hand. Maybe I'm doing both hands. I found the object. Now I'm feeling it. And now I'm going to guess, what is this? So, you know, I know what it is because I heard me over here saying it. But it's interesting because when you don't know what it is, you know, it's just being created in the mind to understand what it is by how it feels. So, you know, you can't, it's interesting to kind of challenge yourself like that. So let your fingers be your guide. I would guess a crumpled paper ball. Okay. And that's correct. You can pull it out. So, you know, I have like some different ones that I was thinking was interesting, like a pine cone or a leaf or a couple of leaves, clothespin, Q-tips, bottle caps, right? So, and again, like once you start changing up the texture of it too, so maybe put something in there and make it wet, or maybe put something in there that's, you know, soft or fuzzy, different textures. And then when we put our hands in, right, let our fingers be our guide to understand what we're grabbing, what we're touching. And it's just a fun kind of guessing game to guess, but not only guess, but to create it in our mind as well. Okay, and you know, we can always use this as well. So what did we find? What were the different objects that we found? We practice handwriting, practice tracing, practice drawing, making sentences, doing a lot of different activities with those objects as well. So just a fun way to present different kinds of objects. You know, if you want to try handwriting without looking, maybe there's a piece of paper and there's a pencil in there, and you have to put your hands in here. Find, you know, two hands, one hand to hold the paper, one hand to hold the writing utensil. See if you can write your name in here, or write a word. And then when you pull it out from the other side, you know, how did it come out? So how does it work when we're writing without looking at it? Or if we're doing some kind of like interlocking maze or interlocking activity, you know, doing something that we would usually be doing by looking at it, trying to challenge ourselves to do it without looking at it, right? Shoe tying. If we're good at shoe tying, what about shoe tying without looking at it? How does it come out? So just kind of a fun little twist to it, by taking away that vision sense, that sense of sight, and making us have to let our fingers be our guide. All right, so our letter L activity, let your fingers be your guide. All right, and if you don't have a box, you can always just use a piece of paper, like I was saying, or even just like a blanket or a pillow sheet or a curtain. Make a blindfold, for example, depending on, you know, how we feel with that kind of experience. This is just like nothing over the face, over the eyes, and we can just like enter our hands into this zone of, you know, not seeing what's going on inside this box. It's not as, you know, like invasive, intense as just something right over the face where now we can't see anything at all. Here, we can still see what's going on, just within this box we can't see. So, you know, that might be a little bit better or more comfortable rather than having something over the face, but even just, you know, holding something up and maybe we have to reach under it, or just a piece of paper that we have to put our hand through and see what's on the other side is another way to practice this skill. Stereognosis as well, and also let our fingers to be our guide. All right, so hope you enjoy this activity. Letter L, let your fingers be your guide. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Have fun. Enjoy.